So one of the obvious questions that I asked myself was, what is the average weight of a black woman in the United States of America? And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. As I look at the variety of the beautiful African American women that we have in this country, the first thing that jumps out at you is that they come in all different shapes and sizes. In another post about men's weight, black men in particular, I talked about the fact that Americans overall have become heavier over time. We've all gained weight across the board. But interestingly enough, the rate at which that occurred and the amount at which this occurred varies greatly depending upon the racial category or the Hispanic origin of the population that you're studying. And again, in this video, we're talking about black women in particular. Now, we've all heard the standard comments about black women, some true, some not so true, some positive, some negative. For instance, some people may say that black women are thicker than other women. And most of the time when you hear something like that, it's said really in a positive way. Black women have more meat on their bones. Black women have more to hold on to. Black women have a more muscular frame. You hear variations of this all the time, and most of the time, it tends to be positive. Now, in contrast to that, you may hear some people say that black women are more unfit than women of other races or other ethnic groups. And in most cases, when I heard someone say that, the reason for that thought process is often cited as the fact that they would say that black women have a genetic advantage often. They'd say black women are fine. They're just fine by nature. They're just born that way. So they don't have to do much work to have a lot of the features that other people have to work for. You hear people talk about how they would say white women go to the gym to get what black women have naturally. And I find that really interesting because often that's followed with the fact that, or the thought or the statement that a lot of black women don't appreciate that. Whether you believe that's true or not, but a lot of people say that black women have a genetic gift that they don't appreciate, and that's why you don't find them in the gym as much as you find women of other races. And over time, women of other races tend to catch up, and black women tend to lose the gift that they've abused over their lifetime. It's always an interesting conversation. Not sure how much of it is based in fact, but these are the type of things that you hear. So again, I thought it would be interesting to find out what the facts are. So according to the data from the reports that were used to compile the information, the average weight of a black woman in the United States of America is around 186 pounds. However, it's important to understand exactly how we got that figure. So in this video, I will show you where this average comes from. Now, before we get started, a little disclaimer. Obviously, weight impacts health. However, it's just not as simple as it may seem. Americans on average are heavier than we were decades ago. So naturally, we would see that same trend within the black community specifically. So again, here we are looking at the average black female's weight. We covered the same information regarding men in a different video. So as I did for finding the data regarding height for weight, I went to the National Health Statistics reports, and that information was publicly available at the cdc.gov website. So you have these physicians and medical personnel who conduct these actual physical examinations. This is not just a paper exercise, it's actual physical exams conducted where they measure and they weigh and they take waist sizes and body mass index on a portion of the population, and that portion of the population represents a national sample, and then they compile that up, and this is where these averages come from. Now, this is done in 2-year cycles, and the information for this report covered the time span from about 1999 to 2016, every 2 years. So what I'll do here is I'll show you the numbers that they gathered, and this is how we determine the average. We took these 9 different numbers, added them up together, divided by 9, and this is what we got the figure for 186 pounds. So that information is as follows. In the 99-2000 year, the average was 185.9 pounds. And then 2 years later, in 2001 and 2002, that number decreased about 6.5 pounds. It was 179.3 pounds. In 2003, 2004, it went right back up, and it was 185.1 pounds. That was an interesting fluctuation. That's the only time within this sample that it varied that much. But in 2005, 2006, it was 184.1. 07 to 08, it was 185. 2009 to 2010, it was 189.5. Significant jump. 2011, 2012, it was 190 pounds. 2013, 2014, there was no change. And finally, in 2015 and 2016, it was 186.1 pounds. So if you take those 9 numbers, add them together, divide by 9, you come up with about 186 pounds, 186.1 pounds. Now, what I find really interesting is what happens when you compare this number to members of other races. So in another video, I go in depth in that, but just to give you an idea of some of the differences that we might find, I compared it to white women. So what would be the difference in the average weight between the average black woman's weight and the average white woman's weight? And the result is actually pretty significant. The average non-Hispanic black woman is 186.11 pounds. Meanwhile, the average non-Hispanic white woman is 165.55 pounds. So that's about a 20-pound difference in terms of averages between the average weight of a black woman and the average weight of a white woman. Now, what I find interesting is when I compared the differences in the average weight between black men and white men, it was maybe a pound or 2. Meanwhile, when you compare the difference between black women and white women, you're talking about 20 pounds on average. So I was curious as to what it was that causes that difference. Why is it? I mean, that's pretty significant. I mean, I expected to see a difference, but I had no idea that the difference would be that great. I mean, what about you? Is that what you expected to see? If it was, why? And if it wasn't, why wasn't it? In any case, I hope this information was as fascinating to you as it was to me, and I look forward to your comments in the comments section below. Take care, family. Peace.